Oh, we are rocking and rolling. So, hey, Chris, I'll introduce you here in a couple seconds as we're seeing people jump on by the multiples of five. Good morning, everybody. Wherever you find yourself Zooming this morning, today's a great day to have great day. So we got a lot in store for you all this morning. The one and only Abe Shreve is with us. Chris is on here. Steve is on here. So we're going to go ahead and jump in. And Chris, I'll let you maybe introduce Abe and let him say a few things, and then we'll just roll with a little bit of kind of the conversation that we had going on before we realized we weren't rolling. So, Chris.
Hey, sounds great. So Abe Shreve is someone I've had the pleasure to get to know over the past 12, 16 months, somewhere in that time frame. And he's someone that that has been very helpful in my own life, even in my wife and I's relationship, when it comes to really having a conversation about money and budgeting and letting go of any judgment and negative emotions that I was attaching to maybe mistakes I've made in the past. So he's been of great help to me. He's a friend and mentor and a coach to me, to say the least. And other people in my family have been impacted by what he's been putting on Facebook, and he just freely shares. If you follow him on Facebook, you know what I'm talking about. And if you don't, I would encourage you to do that, or Instagram, because not only will you quickly realize he's a man of passion when it comes to his faith and family and then business. So just like us, he has a lot of fun with his family, yet at the end of the day, he has a passion to and help people accomplish whatever it is in their heart to that they desire to accomplish. Yeah, I could
Right,
keep
great.
going.
So,
However,
yeah. Abe, let's let Abe go.
Thank you.
Well, Chris,
Right. Yeah,
first of
exactly.
all,
Abe.
thank you. Thank you for that. My regret is that my wife and family didn't hear that, because when I tell them those things, they just don't. It doesn't have it's not very effective.
Nice.
They say, here, we just want you to do the dishes.
Yeah, we put Chris on payroll, so
Right.
He's required to do those things for us, Abe.
I will tell you this. I'm impressed by Chris, and this isn't a kind fest, although we ought to be doing that some. But if you don't know his story, if you don't know his story and you're looking for a little pick-me-up, ask him to share it with you, because where he came from as a kid. And can I share just a little, Chris?
Sure.
You know, Chris shared a story with us where he and his brother would sometimes, even growing up, they would dig through garbage for food. And I just jumped right into it, Chris, right? Your story to tell, and here it is now. But Chris shared that they would go to Pike's Place, right, in Seattle. Wasn't that, Chris?
I sure did.
And sit on the grass and just watch the people as a kid. In fact, actually ask people for change to get the bus ticket to go there. And he would sit there, and it was watching people walk around Pike's Place that he realized, I can have a different life. People do this differently. And it's I'm just so impressed. And man, Chris is not immune to struggle, same as none of us are. The beautiful thing about this moment in time that is really just such a gift, in my opinion, is we have been collectively kicked down the hierarchy of needs together.
At the same time. Yeah.
It's one thing to struggle in business or in life for various reasons, but to all be there. And this isn't anyone's fault. You know, it's not like the government screwed this up or anything. You know, we want to blame bats and the Chinese, but this thing that's happening is nobody's fault. And there's a return to humanity. And Paul, we were talking right before we kind of got everybody convened, or everyone showing up, about how will you make that comment again? You said, I think we're wired for this.
Built for this. Yeah, we're created for times like this.
And what makes you say that?
Exactly what you said. For me and the people that I'm living life with, it's a call back to fundamentally what I think we're created and built to do, and that's care for people, share, love, partner, say hi, be virtually connected, or coming outside the front door. So it's that juice of adrenaline back into what I think human beings were created to do. And times like this remind us that that's what it is.
Yeah. Well, I have a dear friend named Matt Townsend. You all should get this book. We get nothing. It's not like I'm on the payroll. I get nothing for this book, but it's Starved Stuff by Matt Townsend. Matt's a relationship communication expert. And if you're looking for another person to come and do this, I think I could probably get him for you. But Matt said something to me. We were having a conversation the other day that was just, I thought, so brilliant. He said, we got the wording wrong. We call it social distancing. We should call it physical distancing. We need more social interaction than ever. And Paul, I think you're right. I think that I think we are wired to care about one another. We all, every one of us have a limbic system, which is the part of the brain that creates a bond. If you're out hiking in the woods and you come into a clearing and there's a mama bear and a baby cub, you're about to have a bad day, but not because you're a threat to mom. You're a threat to the cub and she's bonded to the cub. We're wired that way. Right. However, right now, with the way that social media is algorithmically fed, we're leaving the neocortex, the higher mind, the ability to reason and have rational thought. And we're passing right down through the limbic system. This actually happens in reverse, but we're living in the fight or flight center, the amygdala, which was designed to answer just a few questions. Can I take this thing in a fight? Can I outrun it? So when you're driving down the freeway, I promise I'm taking us somewhere. When you're driving down the freeway and a log rolls off the truck in front of you, without you even realizing it, in a nanosecond, adrenaline floods your system. And you react in a way that you wouldn't react normally. And in a case like that, it's really purposeful. But when you're scrolling through Facebook and you see an out of context comment on a political stance made by someone who you disagree with generally, we go right to fight or flight. And we're not Republicans and Democrats, we're Crips and Bloods.
Right.
You know, so
well, you can't, Abe, right? Would you
let me just finish this one thing. Here's why I share it. I've wondered what unites us. And my sister said, probably a war. And I don't think so. I think we politicize a war. I think this is and I could have never dreamed of this. Maybe none of us could have, that this would be the thing, making us slow down, go home, spend time just with our families, learn how to be together and be silent together, and to talk and to get past that 2-week period where you're just figuring it out. So to your point earlier, I do think we're wired for this. I think that we just allow ourselves to get so wound up in the speed of life. Kids in soccer's the bane of every parent, but the speed of life. And we're going to come out of this with some gifts. And I hope one of those that we take with us is that we were made to slow down and connect. Slow down, connect.
Well, and Abe, it's the power of our mind, in that the cortisol that's released when we have that flight or flight that causes us, it's like you said, it's helpful, and yet we can't live there.
It can be helpful
in a short amount of dosage, right?
Yeah, that's it.
That decision. However, to your point, when we're watching news and we're living in that mindset, that literally cortisol tears our immune system down. It causes us to get sick. All of those types of things that is intended to help us there's a log in the interstate, swerve, and then get back on kind of connected. So that being said, how do you keep your thinking straight?
Well, I'm going to be level 10 transparent. I don't know any other way to be. And frankly, I think it's a lot of pressure to try and always be filtered. So I think at 27, I wanted to look smarter than I was and more experienced than I was. At 37, I would fake it while I found a cure. But at 47, I have nothing to lose. I'm, I think that vulnerability is the new superpower. I believe that. And I believe that leaders that are willing to share their struggles and their learnings make it not only acceptable, but present an invitation for others to experience those things. And we all need to process through our challenges. So I don't mind telling everyone here, I have days right now that are very heavy. And the world is there's a lot of great messages and there's a lot of great thought leaders. I'm so proud of Keller Williams for what they're doing and the messages and the constant. I'm very proud. I'm proud of my team. I'm so proud of my team. I'm just so honored. And last week, it still felt new and it still felt fast and it still felt crazy. But Monday morning felt heavy to me. Monday morning felt like the first day. I walked in Monday and I remember thinking, I don't know what to do. And by the way, you know who I sent my 411 to?
No, who?
The guy that wrote the freaking book and made it up, Gary Keller. Gets auto sent to him every Tuesday morning. I have a great 411 and it is the right actions. I still felt lost. By the way, I keep it right here. I still felt lost. And so let's start with what I do when I feel that way and then what I'm doing to generally keep myself high. Can we do that?
Love it. Yeah. Recovery strategy.
So I think you guys that this is not a time to talk opportunistically. I'm not saying that this isn't a time to gain market share. However, I'm gonna share a whole bunch of strong opinions, and I welcome anyone that disagrees. We're all entitled to our own wrong opinion. Just kidding. I think that, and I'm taking a lot of my cues from Gary, the way he's led me. He says this is a season to lead with heart. This is not a season to profiteer. This is a season to call people and simply say, you're on my mind. What can I do for you? I have a text from Chris asking me, what can I do for you? How can I help you today? And so when I came in Monday and I was feeling so heavy, I've learned that I'm one of those calls away from feeling different. And I'm not a talking head here. A lot of people are coming out and there are these glorious talking heads and, you just got to think positive and you can never be down. And I think that's dangerous in coaching. I think it's dangerous when coaches will not allow a moment for someone to process. Sometimes it just sucks. My filter died last night about 3:30 yesterday afternoon. So forgive me if you would. Sometimes it just sucks. And there's something to be said, not to wallow in it, but there's something to be said. Yeah, this is hard. How are you? How are you doing? And so I make calls. It's my reset ritual. I'll close my computer and I'll call someone and say, hey, I'm thinking of you and your family. And it's not always someone that will do business with me. It's not always, I've talked to several people that I haven't talked more than 5 minutes in our whole lives, but there's a relationship. And so I would recommend to everybody here that, in the spirit of what Gary's saying, it's head down, heart up. So turn off all your auto drips. If your messages are coming through business as usual, one of two things is happening. No one is receiving that. No one's looking for that. No one's receptive to those messages. And so it's either not being heard or it's feeling obnoxious. So either change those messages right now as fast as you can, change your messaging for 60 days. But we have never had a more beautiful time to call and say, I'm thinking of you today. How are you? How's your business? Do you have reserves? What does it look like for you for the next 60 days? I'm putting together a mastermind on family finances. I would love for you to be a part of that. Who's important to you? The people important to me are the people who are important to you. Who's important to you that I can invite to come aboard that? And here's the truth of it, Paul. That's going to help all of us through. It's going to allow us all to have 10 times the meaningful conversations we would have under normal circumstances. And I want you to write this down. How we talk to our database today will determine who they listen to in 90 days. So here's a tip. Here's a great tip for realtors. I'm just kind of going. Is this okay?
Yeah, keep going, man.
Here's a great tip for realtors. By the way, I miss you guys. I hope you'll have me do this again. One of the things that I was the most leery. Gary and I talked about this for 5 months. I love this community, this Keller Williams community. And so one of the blessings of my life is I've been kind of invited more back in to do these things. I was never ostracized. I just left to work with businesses more.
Yep.
But we've changed our plan to work with you guys more. And I'm so excited about that. And so here, one of the big things that I discovered leaving the Keller sphere and heading out into the world, as it were, is that inside of Keller Williams, we take so for granted this business acumen that we have, and this language, the simple conversations around what percent are you profitable, those simple conversations, because I'm telling you, they are not happening out here. You know, we have 5 models, and they're so innovative. Economic model, budget model, lead gen. And, you know, we've heard so many times, right, Chris? You should write a book on this. What the devil? So I've been amazed as we've gotten out sharing these principles. And one of the things that, has been really, really exciting, I would say, one of the things that's been really exciting is people that are not receptive yesterday suddenly want to connect. And I think of Matt Townsend. We shouldn't call it social distancing. We should call it physical distancing. We need social connection more than ever. And so for the next 90 days, be the connector. And here's a great tip for realtors. This is a great tip for you. Tell the story of others. If you're not on social media, the world has never been more forgiving. If you don't make videos, the world has never been more forgiving. That we share is more important than how well it's produced. I hope you get that. And I can help you right now. If everyone should be making videos for the database, and let me help you out. I'll give you the intro and outro that will always work. It's the hardest part, right? Here's your intro. Hey, this is Chris Ward. I'm with Keller Williams Real Estate. Today, I want to share something with you that's on my mind and heart. That's it. Use it every time. It's never going to get old. Here's the outro. Thanks for listening, you guys. No one's more important to me than the people who are important to you. And if there's someone that needs anything, a roll of toilet paper, or just to talk about their finances, I want to help. I'm your partner when it's good. I'm more your partner when it's hard. That has turned into our mantra at Maps Business. And so in your videos, tell the story of the people in your community. That's what we want to hear. So if there's a family you can see that's killing it.
Are some of those stories success stories, stories of someone else helping?
Yeah, or just what they've been. Hey, today I'm sharing so-and-so, a story of so-and-so. They've got a taco cart.
Okay.
I've been eating with these guys for 20 years. They've been hit hard. This is tough for them. They're adjusting, and here's what they're doing. But here's how I'm impressed with them. You know, and find the ways to brag. Because here's the truth. If you tell your story as a realtor today, in this 60 to 90 days, if you tell your story, they're not going to hear you. I sell houses. I can help you. People are still going to buy houses, by the way. We should talk about that. But if you tell your story, they're not going to hear you. But if you tell someone else's story, they will hear their story and yours. That's the beautiful thing. If you're a person, if Bold has caused you to be up all night, sweating and nervous, which, by the way, I was a phone prospector for a decade and I hated every day of it. It was never easy. It was good. It was important. I was never that person that it just became easy. For me, every morning, my coach was my mentor in coaching, Tony DeCello. And I didn't qualify, by the way, to be in his schedule. I talked him into it. But every day I would send him a picture of the parking lot. And my objective was to be the only car in there. I had a partner, so 2 cars. But I would go in and we would warm up and we would dress in suits. And I'm a rock climber. I'm a dirt bag. I didn't wear suits before, but I had in 08, I really had to change a lot of things. And I remember I would call the FSBOs first because they don't have souls. This was the game that I played with myself. They're not real people. They don't have souls until I have an appointment. Then they become humans. And I can tell you in a decade of doing that, I can't remember one day that my heart wasn't beating through my chest before that call connected. But I just knew that once I got into 1 or 2, that fear would dissipate. So for me, it started academic. Then I go feel. Today, if you're like me, then today should be a gift to us all, because today we can simply call and say, hey, it's Abe over at Keller Williams. I've repurposed all of my efforts to help this community that's been so good to me. How can I help you today? Who in your life is in need? And start connecting. We need a plumber. I have someone. I have a great plumber. And everyone's struggling. And I'm going to put you guys together. But, you know, if you're on lockdown, plumber can't come in. But maybe you arrange a video call, right? I mean, you want to come out of this and double your business? Be a person that solves 10 different people's problems each day. I made up the number. I don't know. It felt right.
It felt good. Well, it's a challenge, right? And sometimes we need some like to grab a hold of, and it's okay. I'm going to solve 10 problems today. Great. Go.
Yeah, because every problem is a person. Everybody today has a different fear.
Great, Abe.
We are always at one point. I know these sound like talking points, but you know when people say, I know it's a cliche. Do you know why they call it a cliche?
No.
Because it's true. Because it's true. I always laugh when people say, we just got to go back to the basics. The problem with saying that, the problem with the word basic is that we think it's basic.
No, it sounds this big.
We think it's easy. I just got to go back to the basics. In the Army, they don't call it easy training. So today is it's a time to get good. It's easier than ever to connect with our people if we come from genuine contribution. In Gary's words, head down, heart up. I could just go on and on. Like I'm monopolizing 100%.
No, that's why we invited you on, so you could monopolize it. We are recording this, so we'll send it to you, Abe. Tina asked a question when you went through that first intro, something like, hey, this is Abe. I want to share with you today what's on my heart, that video.
Yeah.
Could you regurgitate that to the best of your ability one more time?
Yeah, and the point that I was making with that, and this is important for everyone to hear. First of all, even before this, no one's looking for really polished messages. And this isn't my opinion. Like I follow this very closely. I had a company, I sold it a number of years ago, but I had a company that was a YouTube channel. And at the time I sold it, we had 222 million minutes viewed on the channel. That's 3.5 million hours of people watching our content. And I can tell you that nobody wants scripted. They don't want you to drag on, which I violate all the time, but you can be human today. People are more interested in that. Make a few bullet points, what you're going to share, but it comes on like this. Just, hey, this is Abe with Keller Williams, and I've got a message I want to share. I was talking to so-and-so. This is what they said. I was inspired by that. And I thought maybe you could be too. I wanted to get that to you. So intro, outro. I want to share with you something on my mind and heart. And then the outro is, thanks for listening. We all need each other. And talk soon. It can be that simple. And I like those. I like that style because it keeps an open-ended conversation so that when you pop in the next video, it feels natural, right? It feels natural. Don't get hung up on views. Don't worry about that. You focus on sharing and caring. And don't get hung up on, oh, there were only 3 people that joined my Facebook Live. Doesn't matter. Those 3 will go tell 10. I have some tactical things I'd love to go over with you guys.
Yeah, well, that's what I was going to ask, and I didn't know if we wanted to go there. And yet sometimes I think tactics are helpful because it's something that I see 103 people active on Zoom, and we're on YouTube and Facebook that I can't see, and yet they could. I'd love for 103 of these people to have 1 or 2 things, Abe, to tactically do after this call.
Can we talk about personal finances?
Please.
Okay. Again, I'm going to be transparent. Here's the truth. Behind the curtain, everyone is struggling with something. Behind the curtain, everyone is struggling with something.
That literally made me feel lighter. Hearing you say that made me feel better. Thank you.
How did it, tell me more. How did that make you feel better?
Because I mean, your role model, I'm one or two more removed from Gary Keller, and yet I look to him, and hearing you say that even when I idolize him, he is still struggling with something, and it made me feel better because it made me feel like I'm not alone, Abe.
That's it. Listen, that is so important. By the way, that's a little of the psychology behind the we're one conversation away from feeling different. When we're feeling heavy, we're typically focused in. What do I do? What's my circumstance? And getting into the story of another. You displayed that, Paul, so beautifully just now. I could see physically on you, I'm lighter.
Yeah.
And that's what that does. We can serve selfishly. It is. It's true. And
I'll have
so
another cup.
there it is. Matt, I'm a huge believer in you share sources. I'm obsessive with it. So much so that there are things that I've said that I just know are above my pay grade. There's someone said it smarter than me. We can't find the reference. And I'll say, someone smarter than me said this. I got a quote from Matt by Carl Jung who says, that which is most personal is most universal. And when we're struggling, whether it's in our relationship with our spouse or it's just in our business, we often feel uniquely broken, that no one can really understand. And there is there is some joy. There's a lightning that comes when we realize I'm not alone in the struggle of the world. I'm not behind the curtain. Everyone has their stuff. In fact, I remember many years ago, I would sit in the audience at the events, mega camp and things, and I would hear these people up on the stage. And I remember thinking, even feeling bad about myself, which isn't a great way to go, that I know I could do what they're doing. I know I have more in me. I know I could be up there. Like that matters, right? I know I could be up there. And one of the great gifts to me, and let me just pass this on to you, is one day through blessings and circumstances, I got to be the person coaching those guys. And what I learned was behind the curtain, everyone has a mess they're dealing with. And they're all related. They're all similar. Behind the curtain. So that's why I'm so reticent about the talking heads, the people that have every answer and that it's all mindset and you can never be down. The world of coaching is so flooded with that. If you believe and achieve, and those things are true. And there's something, there is something for a person when they understand you're not alone in this. Right? This isn't unique to you. I like to say it like this. I hope I don't hurt your feelings. And that's not unique to you. So Gary, and you should know this, and he's not going to see this. And if you send it to him, he wouldn't watch it. He's busy, but he just doesn't.
Yeah, I don't mean to hurt your feelings, and yet Gary's not going to watch.
So I share that because what I share with you right now, I'm saying, I'm saying it for us. He'll never see this. But I can tell you as a person that's worked really closely with him now for 2.5 years, he is exceptionally compassionate. I've seen it over and over. And in this time, when this all happened, I wanted to talk to my partner and my mentor and my coach and my hero. And of course, he was really busy. He started messaging this early. We were having conversations in our company that took the rest of the world a week to begin. And, but I remember it was like a 2-hour call, just he and I, where he went over and over. It's heart. It's lead with heart. And then he did a call with me and our president of our company, Charlotte Savoy, and it was all the same message. Who are you serving? Lead with heart. This is not a season of profiteer. Tighten your finances. Get rid of every extraneous expense. There was hard tactical, and we're going to move to that, tactical coaching in there. But the things you're hearing me say, I didn't make up. And, we have a very compassionate, and I feel like Gary's great gift is vision. executable vision. And that's cool when you're thinking about innovating business. It's probably more impactful when we're staring down the barrel of global disruption. So we are blessed, and so let me share some tactical things. We can all shit on ourselves, right? One of the challenges of coaching is that it's always easier to tell someone else how to do it than to do it. It's like parenting, right? I tell people that hypocrisy is one of the great tools in my parental tool belt. Did you ever do this, Dad? We're not talking about me right now. Coaching can be like that because we're coaching to true models and systems, and whether I am doing the model or system right doesn't matter as much as coaching someone else to it. That's can be the trap of coaching. Sure. And so I've been aware for a little while that my kids don't really know struggle much. And it's not like we shower in Benjamins every morning. I'm not dripping in wealth, but we've done fine. We've done great. And Teresa and I have talked about, what's the best way for us to do this? And there's some great programs out there. But what this did for us was it made it impossible for us not to have the conversation we wanted to have for a long time, didn't know how. So I went home. This was
did you say that made it possible? This situation made it possible for you to have the conversation that you wanted to have. Is that right? Did I hear that correctly?
I'd say, let me correct myself. It made it impossible for us to not have that conversation.
Got it. Okay.
Probably the best way to say it. I went home to Teresa, and I come to my office, and this is my office, and on the other side of over here is a rock climbing tread wall and a ping pong table, and I got a kitchen, and I believe in, does your environment match your goals? And I train in here, and this is a great place to come. But I go home, and my wife is she's homeschooling for the first time in her life, and realizing that though my name's Abraham and I'm predisposed to want to sacrifice any one of my kids at any given moment, she's taking that on now. So I go home to her, and I sat her down, and I said, hey, I'm just going to not sugarcoat this at all. This thing is real. Right now, you and I need to cut out every expense that we can. And this is what I'll share with you. I'll share with you a template in just a moment if you guys want it. It's just our family budget template, and I just took out our expense things. But business finance is infinitely easier than personal finance for most. It's not always true. It's true for a lot. And
is that just because of the personal part of it, Abe?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. It's because there's so many other dynamics at home. Well, you're the spender. Well, you never let us do anything. And even if it's not that overt, I come from 300 finance classes, and I go home. Teresa's she's not going through the same stuff I'm going through. And I don't know about you guys, but when I go home, they don't want me to coach them. Can you even believe that? I heard messages here. We just want you to do the dishes. So I shouldn't be a coach. I should be your husband and dad, right? So we went through that line by line, and I want to give you some guidelines. I want to be specific, and if you will text, this is how we can share this with you. If you want a copy of our template, and by the way, I would be happy to do a class for you guys on this. If you want a copy of the template, text the word budget, all capitals, budget, to 33777. It's very simple, and it's just the subcategories, and you can just add that up. But we went through and we started cutting. And if you guys want, I can tell you what we cut, the categories. Do you want to hear?
Yeah, I love it.
This is important for everybody because, again, the temptation can be to look at me or anybody else and think we're anywhere different. We've been going through with our clients and our coaches line by line, whoever wanted to, going through their personal budgets and saying, can you do without that for 30 days? Could you not do that for 30 days? And Teresa and I would get a little hung up on one. And then, and there's some rules. I want to give you some rules to abide by as you're doing this. Now, I'm going to share this with you personally, for you personally, but let me also tell you this. Realtors, my KW family, do this. What I would ask is, if this helps you, go do this with your people. If you have a team, do this with them. Offer this to people in your circle. And these rules are important. Number one, everybody, right from this moment forward, you get a pass on the past. We're not going to go back and talk about, well, remember that time you did this? Or, a lot of times we don't want to get into our personal finances because we're afraid to find out that our wife's going to learn that we've been familially embezzling to fill our wood shop. Not me, others, not me.
No, not you at all.
No, everybody gets a pass on the past. And that's important because this is hard enough. It's hard enough to not worry that you're going to have to explain things that you did in the past when neither of you were watching. Now, look, there's some people on here that are really good at their money, and that's probably driving them nuts. But just because you're good at money doesn't mean you're good at leading somebody else to be good at their money. Right. And, just talking about how it's not a struggle and just do this means you're going to be an ineffective teacher if you can't say it was hard for me and here's how we did it. So we went through our template, and one of the first things, we just started cutting clothing. And the question was this: can we not spend money on that for the next 30 days? Yeah, we can make do. Cut. We did it in 2 days because we did it the first day. And then after coaching others on it, I realized we didn't do enough. We did 19% the first day and 20% the next day. We cut out 39%. It was hard. We had a trip. This is before we were all staying home. And we had a very modest budget for a spring break trip, $1,500. We have a camper van. We cut it. We're not doing that. We'll just get creative. We call it our mortgage company. I can pay my mortgage right now. Who knows what happens? And I want to lead from the front for my company. And so there's no way I could go ask any of our coaches or my team to sacrifice if I wasn't coming to them and saying, here's what I believe we need to do. And here's what I've done. And so I would call the mortgage company and got a forbearance. Everyone is doing this right now. And if you have credit card debt or if you have car payments, call them and say, what do you have? Most of them right now will say to you, here's your options before you even get into it.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of this time. And here's an analogy. Teresa and I decided, and I'm going to walk you through just a couple things we cut so that you can hear it. But here's what we decided. We're not going to save the kids. We're not going to sugarcoat this at all for them. Not at all. So I sat them down. Guys, the world got sick. It's a global pandemic. I've never experienced anything like this in my lifetime. Neither is your mom. It's scary. We are going to cut every expense. Here's what we cut. Here's what it means. I'll tell you something I learned. All they cared about, the thing they cared about was when they get to see their friends. They actually got a little confused. They thought when I was saying 60 to 90 days that the quarantine was going to be 60 to 90 days. And a second I cleared up. No, I'm talking about, financially we're doing, at a minimum, we're doing 60 to 90 days. They were like, oh, can we see our friends? Right. But it turned into, it needs to move quickly from what we can't do to what we can do. So here's things we cut out. Every penny you save, you put in reserves. Every penny. Listen, every penny goes in reserves. Every one. Don't spend it. Do not finance your lifestyle. Stop today. Go stop every auto payment. Everyone. We're going to be manual for a while. We're going to take back some daily habits. It's a gift to all of us. Go stop your auto payments. Well, I don't know. I got things on my credit card and I don't know when they come. Well, you're going to have to call them and get a statement. Go get a statement. Get a highlighter and go back 3 months and highlight everything that's come out over the last 3 months and then stop that payment. Don't just stop it. You can't just not pay. Stop it and then call them and make an arrangement and make a list. Make a list of who you made what deal for and what the dates are you need to communicate with them So you don't have to think later about how do I turn it all back on? Who's going to destroy my credit? No one is if you do this right. I'm talking about the personal finances. We could talk about the business in a minute because there's subtleties in some of the relief package that if you're not careful, you can lose some of the, like the payroll forgiveness and some of that. So, and the personal stuff, I told the kids in the analogy, in the story of the three little pigs, the little, because we were talking about it scary, the little pig that was sitting in the brick house wasn't inside the house trembling with fear that there might be a wolf in the neighborhood because they had a house that could stand it. And what we're doing now, kids, what we're doing now by doing this right now, by not waiting, by making a reserve and by stopping this and by constricting is we have a short window to build our brick house. It's not for fear. It's to put the bricks on our house so that if, you know, we don't know where this is in 60 days. But if it continues to get harder, and listen, it's probably going to be harder before it gets easier, continues to get harder, we're not just trembling for fear that we won't be able to eat. And if done right, we'll be in a position to help other people. So we cut out, ready for this? This was a big sacrifice. Hulu Plus. We kept Netflix. Let's not get crazy. It's not a zombie apocalypse.
Right.
Disney
We can go
Plus.
to Netflix next 30 days, right?
Yeah. Disney Plus. We took our family grocery budget down. We ended up taking it back up, but this was one we got stuck on. Now, if you're not careful, you're going to get stuck arguing philosophy. Don't do that. If you get stuck on something and you have a question, say, we'll come back. Because there will be things in your budget that are easier to cut and you're going to get in the rhythm of it. And if you stop and get hijacked on, you know, we need more money than that, you're not going to make progress down the list. When you continue down the list and you come back, all right, we were stuck on this one, you'll be in a better place to address it. And if you can't agree on it, then don't change that one maybe, right? Or so for us, it was all short sprints. We're not doing this forever. We're going to do this for 30 days and do the same thing and reevaluate the next 30 days. That's important too. Everyone gets a pass on the past, and we're going to think in 30-day increments. Got it? We want to remove the heaviness of we'll never have anything again. Because in times like this, it's, you know, it's easy for your head to go there. But we can do anything for 30 days. We had like home maintenance fees. I haven't mowed my yard in 15 years. The thought of doing that makes me want to give way to projectile and voluntary vomiting. Well, we're going to be mowing the grass this month. Forgive me. Make the boys do it. We cut all of our clothing budget. We have slush funds. I think you got to have a little money that you can do anything you want with. We cut those out. I'm not going to get a haircut. Cut that. No dog grooming. Family allowance. We kept some money in family activities. We kept some money there. We're a family of 6. But when we came back around, we cut that down. We cut fuel. Now, when the first night we did this, we didn't cancel the trip. So when we did this, we had taken from our monthly fuel allotment and put it into that trip. But the next day, we canceled the trip, but we didn't put the difference back into the fuel budget. We cut that. And when we got done, and this is an important story, we got done and we're like, that's hard, you know, and I named just a few things. There were other things, but we're like, that feels hard. Teresa said, oh, we owe $137 this month to an orthodontic bill. Oh, so close. But this is important. We could have just funded that. All right, well, we gotta just fund our budget for $137 more, but we didn't. In the same meeting, we're in that same meeting. It's not like we discovered this a week later and we have to go back and correct that. In the same meeting, we said, all right, where can we take it from? And we donated our date night and half our slushes to pay that bill. And listen, this restriction, once you get past the kind of the initial challenge of it, it brings people together. It's brought us together. We've gotten really creative. And since then, everyone has to stay inside anyway.
Are you finding, Abe, that it's bringing you all together because you're unified and you're agreeing on something?
Yeah. And there's no mystery out there. We know exactly where we are.
It goes back to the beginning of the top of the hour when we said that we're created for not social distancing, physical distancing, and yet we're created to be in relationship, close relationship with people.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. I made a video of this. That's, you know, we've had updates since I made this video, but I made the video, and you guys can do this too. Like, just look, if I've done something and you like it, steal it and do it, right? Chances are I stole it somewhere. But I wanted to make a video that would allow a couple, because if husband comes home and is like, hey, we got to cut everything, that's a harder conversation often. Or if wife comes home and says, we got to cut everything. What I wanted was I wanted to be a resource that people could watch something and say, listen to that. How do we do that? Do you see the difference? So again, you guys, please don't take for granted, because inside of Keller Williams, we talk easily about budgets and money. The truth is, I'm gonna poke you all in the nose. You ready? Most of us, I'll just put me in here. Most of us, listen, I'm coming in hot. Most of us talk about it infinitely better than we do it. Come on, you know it's true.
You're 100%. Yep.
So now it's the time to do the things. It's time to do the stuff. And so, you know, to build some habits, to come out of this knowing that you built the habits, you built solid financial habits, and you know how to agree on money. It's a big deal. Can we talk about business finances?
Yeah, I'd love to, if you've got the business finances, and then Abe, I'd love for you to touch on, from your business world, what are some, and I know it's new for everyone, do's and don'ts of the stimulus package. Where can we go? Where can we find resources? What are you learning? What are some things that we can do as realtors, small business owners, and anywhere in between, get the help, and yeah, I'd love to touch on those two things.
Well, I can give you a great resource for how to learn about, where you can go to learn about all this stuff. Our website, which is mymapscoach.com, mymapscoach/resources. Or if you just go to the website and click on the resources tab at the top, we are just listing the most current government sources. And I would tell everyone, stop watching the news. Stop watching the news. The news hates you. Stop watching those. Just look for real resources. So anyway, we've listed all those sites. We've listed all those things there, and they change a lot. I did this with a group yesterday with Cody Gibson, and somebody said, well, I call my health insurance company. What do we do? You know, my health insurance company isn't willing to lower. And my response to them was, well, number one, don't sacrifice your health insurance. Like, don't put yourself in that position. And number two, ask again tomorrow and ask again the next day. Because people that aren't on board now, they will be tomorrow, because the world's just changing like that. So a couple things to know about the stimulus package. I would read up on it. I would admonish everybody here to treat it like you would treat giving tax advice. Here's what I've learned, but here's a resource, read it for yourself. We want to be very, very careful in that. I can tell you that part of the stimulus in the small business loan, there's a payroll forgiveness portion, which I think is amazing. I'm actually really pleased with what our government's done. As stupid as they've been, both sides, as dumb as they've been, back and forth, I'm impressed. I feel like they've attacked this thing pretty fast. And that's not important for this conversation, but I am impressed. So yeah, I believe it's if you lay people off, you're not you can lose eligibility for the payroll forgiveness. And if you lower salaries beyond 25% of their original, I think you no longer qualify for payroll forgiveness. And the reason that they're doing that is, and this is Gary Keller too. Gary told me early on, this is not for the next 90 days, don't make long-term decisions. And the third time he said it, I said, what are long-term decisions? And he said, close a business, lay people off. Now, if someone's not performing, I'm not saying keep someone if they're not performing, but this isn't a time to just lay everybody off pell-mell. But it is a time to go to everyone and say, what's the least amount that you can survive on for 60 days? And we're going to go to that. And by the way, we've done that as a company. I did it. My executive team did it. I'm so proud of them. I'm just really touched. And our coaches did it. Our coaches are taking less because we called our clients, and I'd like to share this with you. We called our clients, and I was calling them, me and our director of coaching, Terry Gurno, and asking them, hey, we're calling to see how you are. And we had a list of questions. Part of that was, what are your reserves like? And what I was hearing was, I love my coach. I never want to work without my coach. But then when we would ask about your reserves and how you're doing, I could tell they can't see it coming. They don't know. They love their coach, but they're in trouble and they don't know it yet. And we just made a decision across the board, lower everyone down to $500 for 60 days, and we'll see it from there. And we took our training. We had the coach approach to leadership, leading and developing your people. So watch for our training. We've changed our model for the next while. We had a whole bunch of people that signed up for $250. And Paul, I'm really proud of us. We refunded everyone $200. We changed the price to $49 unless you can't afford it today. No questions asked. Then you just come for free. Wow. And it's been amazing. I share every email we get with the kids because they're making the sacrifice. We share it with our coaches. We have found our soul. And 3 weeks ago, we were standing in a crowded room of people like us working to get our voice heard. But today, the opportunity to give and share and serve and do it because it's what the world needs, it's really brought us together and is really helping us. So this is true for any business, any business. I give you a resource. Go look at the small business stuff. Listen, take advantage of every source of relief. Take advantage right now. No guilt. You've all been paying into a system that can now help you back.
Good point.
So most of us, we have a high level of integrity. We're payers. We're not takers. And I would tell you that the people that depend upon you need you to put your pride in your pocket for a moment and take the help. Take the help and then go help others. We're going to come out of this. And when we do, the sun's going to come out and we're going to be able to play with each other again, and we're going to emerge different. We're going to find each other again. People, we matter more than our political views today. I think that's beautiful. People are going to buy houses. By the way, real estate's on sale, isn't it? And someone said to me yesterday, well, it's hard for sellers because they're going to take less. And I said, yeah, unless they're going to buy. Because if that seller's going to become a buyer, they may take less for their listing, but so is the seller that they're going to buy from. It's going to be a lot of people that buy homes during this period of time. And so, do we have any questions or anything? I could go on forever, but
some of the questions that have been in the chat channel, I've asked you, Kyle. I don't know if there's some on some other mediums that you want to jump on here for the last couple minutes and ask Gabe to help our people.
Can I give you some tips on working from home?
Yes.
Yeah, let me help you with that. Because if not checked, you're going to get cross with your family. And I struggle to work from home because if they see me, I'm then available. So my recommendation to everybody is, when possible, establish a place in the house where you work and establish signals, and it's the tie on the door from college. Sit down with the family and talk about what that means. And if you're at home with kids, don't apologize if one of your children comes in and you're on an important call. I have the distinct honor of being a coach for Jay Papazan. I learn more from these people than I'm sure they get from me. Yesterday, I'm on with Jay. We're on a Zoom call. My wife and daughter show up at the office, and Aaliyah comes in, and my gut reaction is to apologize. But you know what? We are all in this together. you know, so they can't just be in running crazy, but you do a 2-hour block and then go out and be with them for 15 minutes. And here's another thing. This is important. Watch me physically. I'm gonna illustrate this.
Okay.
By our nature as realtors, work is.
I lost audio. Hey, lost audio. You might have unplugged something. Nothing.
Hey, Abe, is there a mute button on the microphone?
Static.
Check.
We're back.
Okay. All right. So this is important. Realtors, by our very nature, work is the drug of choice, right? And the more we get into this, the more wound up we get. And it's really hard to reintegrate to the family. And here's what we have a tendency to do. Hey, I got to make these 3 more calls, then I'm all yours. Now listen to me. All yours for what? Like, we got to emerge back into the family with a scheduled appointment to do a thing. Otherwise, here's what happens. Okay. All right. Okay, kids. Got it. Oh, I'm so tired. All right. What do you guys want to do? And we don't take any energy there. So our family, I'll share with you what we've been doing. And I think I can tell you 100% I didn't come up with this. I actually don't want to do it most nights, but I'm doing it. We do a themed dinner every night. Last night was the 70s. I'm really shocked at how many 70s and 80s how much clothing we have. My 18-year-old daughter put this together, and we dress up, take a photo, we have dinner, and then we watch a movie that's connected to the theme. What it's done for us is we have an appointment every night that we're going to come together, do a fun thing together, capture it, share it, have dinner, sit down. And so otherwise, I promise I would be that guy that's like, 1 second, I got one more, because business today will take everything we will give it and a little more. And so I would challenge you, if you don't have a great system, I would take a sheet of paper. If you have a task manager on your phone, whatever it is, have it with you all the time, because when that thing hits your mind where you're like, oh, I need to talk to so-and-so, if you don't want to get distracted when you're with your people and you don't want to build your anxiety, have that list with you and just capture it. Just talk to so-and-so. And when you're doing that, all the little things the notes you're writing for yourself, have a time block tomorrow, have a moment tomorrow, a 30-minute section in the morning to review your task manager list or your task list and process it. This comes from David Allen's book, Getting Things Done. He calls it closing the open loops. When I capture that thing, then it doesn't take from me any mental and emotional resources, and I can just go back to my people, right? And when you write down things, you have to write it instructively. Talk to so-and-so about this. I can't say, Paul, thinking it's going to prompt me. Don't do that. All of our to-dos need to be written instructively. And then give your family rules for how to help you with your phone. It's going to drive you crazy. It's obnoxious. But in our family, they get to come take it right out of my hand. I hate it. I don't know why I ever came up with it. I don't like it, but I'm more present. And so, working from home, the morning routine is more important than ever. Wake up, work out, shower, get ready, wear pants. And when you're done at the end of the day, add to your list what you're going to do, how you're going to start the next day. That lets you power down. Add to your list what you're going to do the next day. Leave it I'm a paperless guy, but I've gone to this. Leave it under your keyboard monitor. Go and change your clothes, and then go do your pre-planned family thing. And doing that, you're gonna love. You're gonna find a lot of things in this that you love.
Hey, on that note, if there's any last little nuggets you want to share, question as we wrap up, Jeremy, and it goes right along with what you're talking about. During a time where kids are around all the time, not much babysitting, in relationships advice, in how spouses can still stay connected, and communicate and work through those things when it's literally and metaphorically 24/7. So a couple thoughts on that, and then any more Abe moments, and then we'll wrap up.
Yeah. By the way, I know that people here plan on just a certain amount of time. I can stay for a few minutes. I'm good. And this is an important one. And this is one that I have a lot of passion in, because I taught for Matt for 3 years while he's getting his doctorate on this kind of thing. And so I'm a believer, and I want everyone to write this down. It's just as important that we talk about how we talk about things as it is the things we talk about. I'll say it again. It's just as important that we talk about how we talk about things as it is the things we talk about. And so when you talk about it's 24/7 with the spouses, I was watching my wife, who is this is an amazing woman, but it doesn't matter how amazing you are. She still is putting bullets in the gun the third day into the week, with the kids. I was just watching her, and I could see that her spirit was dampening. So let's start there. Become an observer. I'm going to be really tactical, okay? Don't get out of your mouth. Get out of your language. What's wrong? It's indicting. What's not right with you? That's how that gets translated, right? What's wrong? Nothing's wrong. Yeah. Observe an emotion. Hey, you seem upset. You seem a little frustrated. You seem tired. How you doing? Tell me what's going on. I can be frustrated, but that doesn't make me an angry person. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. And so with her, I said, honey, you just seem a little heavy. So what I did was, she has 2 best friends that bring something out of her that I'm a little jealous, because I can't take her to that place. I'm a little jealous and so grateful that those 2 freaking crazy women turned my wife into a crazy. So they're not Zoom savvy. So I told them, you pick a time, you arrange it where no one's around. Teresa came here to the office. We're going to set up a Zoom call. It's going to be the 3 of you. I'll send you a link. Bring dinner. They all had spaghetti. And by the way, I discovered in our house there is a mountain of chocolate I didn't know existed. So they all had this chocolate, but they were going to do it for 2 hours. And she came back home like 1:30 in the morning, but she was a different woman. Wow. And I think right now it's important that we sit down and say, this is hard. How do I best check in with you? How do I best meet your needs? Teresa and I we'll be 23 years married this July. And all that means for me is it's more important for me to ask, even though I know her so well, knowing her like I do means I should just be asking her, hey, honey, what's the best way for me to check in on you? What's the best way for me to serve you? We still need our alone time. And which is hard to do, but it means that when I get off the clock, I'm going to do what I can to take the kids for a moment, right? And I'm going to observe what she needs. And the kids, we're going to do date night. We're going to do date night. And it's hard. We're on lockdown, same as anyone else. The only reason I get to come to my office is because part of the stay order is if you work in a place where there's no one else, you can go. And I'm the only one that works here. And so I would say first start by observing, and same as you would your clients. How are you doing and how can I help you? And listen to what they're saying. And then set the rules to your day and set your schedule, and then share the wins. Sit your family down and share the wins. You guys, I want to share with you something cool that I learned today. We're all making sacrifices. And when I hear these cool things, I think of you, because you're making this sacrifice with me. You are me and I am you and we are we. and I talked to so-and-so today, and this is what they said, and this is how we help them. It's how we help them. You hear that? And it's important that they understand that. And kids need individual time. They need time to talk about whatever they want. I have a daughter who, my little 7-year-old, how does a 7-year-old process a global pandemic? She hears her 11 and 14-year-old brother, and it sounds like, the plague has come and is killing everybody overnight. And, she said to me, this was last week, but it's such a great example. She said, "Dad, I'm scared." And the dad in me wanted to take that away from her and protect her from it. And the coach in me overpowered the dad in me. And I just said, "I'm scared too, Aaliyah." Because we're, like you said earlier, Paul, we all want to find the curtain. Everyone's struggling with something. And it's freeing when you hear that somebody else has a struggle. And I said, "I'm scared too. What would you like to do? Can we play Guitar Hero?" "Yeah, let's play Guitar Hero." And together, she and I are truly awful at Guitar Hero, but we were awful together. That's what they all need.
Behind the curtain, Abe. Not everyone's perfect at everything.
Yeah. So schedule and boundaries and letting your family see you come out to do a thing. And I told my kids that I feel like I'm carrying a lot of load right now, and that's more my learning process as a leader, learning how to do all the things we're coaching on, how to not take it all on myself, and how to be a support, but leave enough in the tank to take it home. And I told them, I said, "Kids, when I get snappy, because when I get tired, I get snappy. When I get snappy, what do you see? How do you experience that?" And they were brutal. "Oh, they're like, they loved this moment. And I said, "Well, what could you say to me in those moments that would help me get my attention?" And they had terrible ideas. I had to coach them through them. "Dad, you're being snappy." They say that to me and I'm tired and I feel frustrated. That does not help. We have a code word in our family. "Dad, are you in executive mode?" Isn't that good? Sounds good, doesn't it? Executive mode. But that's our prearranged signal that, "Dad, you're coaching us," or "Dad, you're being short with us." The reason it's a question is because that's how you access the higher mind. That's how they get me to higher thinking. If they say you're coaching me, I go to the amygdala and which make an example of one. That's what the amygdala is saying. But "Dad, are you in executive mode?" allows me to pause for a moment and think, am I doing it? And what I'll often say to them is, "Am I being snappy?" "Yeah." "All right, thanks for the heads up. Let me take another swing at that."
That's powerful. Man, that's good.
We need a lot of grace today, but we should not believe that this is going to be natural to us. Let's make rules for one another. Let's make rules. You know what that's called? Let's make a model for how we deal with conflict in our family. If we have a couple minutes, I'd love to share with you the do-over culture that we have in our family.
Yeah, let's hear the do-over culture.
This was honestly, I don't recall where I heard this. Part of this I learned from Matt, but I realized this is probably a decade ago. I realized that sometimes I'm probably the only one that does this, but I can get caught up defending a stance or a position that I actually don't have that strong of feelings about. And this is, I'm being sarcastic a little bit here because I think we all do this. And the evidence of that is, imagine, you've got a couple that's had a disagreement and it gets heated and then they go to bed, right? Grandma gave us that horrible advice. Never go to bed angry. Dumb advice. The better advice is, don't talk about emotionally heated topics after 7 o'clock at night. That's a Matt rule. But, or 9 o'clock, I think he said. But grandma says, don't go to bed angry. So we're going to take the time of the day that we're the least emotionally prepared, chemically, the least amount of reserves left. We're going to insert an emotionally charged topic. We're going to commit. We're going to commit to staying up as long as it takes. Those people wake up the next morning and they don't remember where it started. They're ready to fight again. I just don't remember where it started. If you would prompt me, I'm ready to go. Just what was it? And we can do this again. So you take a couple in this case that's it doesn't even need to be a couple. It could just be two people that are really at odds. And one of them says to the other, I call it a momentary moment of wisdom. One of them takes a moment and says, Paul, I think this is my fault. I mean, honestly, I don't want to be at odds, and I think this is my fault. And what almost instantly does the other do?
No, don't. It's not all you. No, don't say that.
Seconds earlier, they wanted to hang you in the public square. But that fast, we move from you to no, it's not you. That's the evidence. That's the evidence that we want to connect. And so the do-over culture was this realization in our family that sometimes we get committed to these positions that we really don't feel strong about. But now we're into it. We can't be wrong. We have to be right. And so we sat together and made rules. We made a model, and we said, look, it's being connected to one another is more important than being right. And if we find that we have started a conversation or we've reacted in a way that we didn't want to, if we could do it over, we'd do it differently. If we've done that, we're going to ask the question. We're going to say, you know what? I would like a do-over. And this takes integrity. And I'm going to use the Covey definition of integrity, which is carrying out a decision once the emotion of making the decision has passed. By the way, my kids were so young. We didn't even have our youngest daughter. These little kids sitting there, we're explaining these things. We're going to ask for a do-over. And this requires integrity, which means that right now we're having s'mores and we all get this. But when you're upset, it's going to be hard to say, can I have a do-over? And that's what integrity means. The first month was, Dad needs a do-over. They took it and fashioned it into a club and started beating each other with it. But here's where integrity fits in. It requires integrity to ask for a do-over, to be a person that realizes, you know what, it's more important to be connected than it is to be right on this topic. Or, you know what, this is the words I use a lot. I'll say, Teresa, I actually don't have strong feelings on this thing. I'd like a do-over. So it takes integrity to ask for the do-over. It takes probably more integrity to allow the do-over. It takes more integrity to allow the person to do over the thing they just did and to not hold them emotionally hostage to the feelings they created in you. And when they did the thing, they're now asking you if they can do it over. And what it's done for our family is it's allowed us to say, and my kids are really good at it now. I have an 18-year-old daughter who will say, Dad, I want a do-over. I'm sorry it came out that way. Can I have a do-over? And it's easy now to say, yeah, sure. She'll say, what I really wanted to say was this. And I think, to me, that this is a beautiful time in our families to start having these conversations. We'll equip each other for life. To kind of end where we started, we were talking about how fast life paces up. And I think the faster life gets going and the more scattered we get in all our directions, the less work we're doing on our personal relationships. And what we've been given now by having to share this type of space is the beautiful opportunity to get good with one another, to deepen how we work together. One of the interesting things about our lives, and most likely the people that are here, is that we'll get help and coaching in almost every aspect of life: finances, fitness, almost every mindset, but not relationships. We fell in love once, and that should be enough.
Areas forever.
That's not how it works, right? That's not how it works. And so I would say that it's a great opportunity to develop really good habits. It's never the wrong time to serve somebody. And that means those at home too.
Chris, good to see your face again. Why don't you and Abe wrap it up? You put this together, so I'm so grateful for you and your relationship with Abe and being able to send him a text message. And Abe, thank you for saying yes.
Man. Well, I'll go to the edge of earth for Chris, and I'd love to help you guys any way I can. And you can help me. Can I throw that in here?
Oh, yes, please. I was going to ask.
I have a crop of amazing coaches that are, many of them. I had one of our coaches just recently, one of our clients canceled and said, I can't imagine going through this without my partner, but my business has died. And it has. And the coach said, no. And asked me, can I coach them for free for 60 days? I was so emotional. Back there, I'm like, yeah, sure. It wasn't a Zoom call, but our, coaches live to serve. And And there's, you know, there's probably people that are on this call that are small business owners. And I would say to you, you know, please connect with us. You can reach out to us via the website. Just hit us up on Facebook or our Instagram. You can just reach out to Chris, but connect with us. And if you want us to go through the business financials with you, we'll do it. Now's not a time to sell things. Now is the time to help as many people as possible. And we're doing a ton of classes. And the model today is we're charging $49 unless it's a hard time for you, then here's a code and you come free. And so the more people we can help, the better this is for us. This is a big sacrifice for us, same as anyone else. We're a small business. Mm-hmm. But what lights our fire is when we, and I mean each one of our coaches, me, when we get on the phone with a business owner and say, let's talk about your business. And we have great systems and models and tools to do that. And so please connect us with the businesses that are important to you, because they're important to us. Mm-hmm. And we have a lot to give. And it makes me sad to think that someone would think, I can't afford coaching right now. Therefore, they wouldn't realize all the things we have for them for free, because we want to help.
Well, I can see us being able to help and cut this video up in a couple different little snippets and be able to send it out and incorporate it, Abe, for our people into a drip campaign type of thing and connect people. Is the best place to go to My Maps Coach? Would that be the? Yeah,
My Maps Coach, and there's a contact us. And also, if you're interested in receiving, Charlotte is probably watching this and probably wants to throw up right now. She's the one that, you know, brings order to our lives. But let me give you this. If you're interested in receiving like our training schedule, we're very careful with how we text people. So don't worry, we're not blowing that out. If you're interested in getting our training schedule, that same number, 33777, if you text my coach, I believe, my coach, all capitals, what you'll get is 369 questions. You'll get right back a list we made of 369 great questions that we use in the coach approach to leading and developing your people. But we'll be able to see who reached out to today, and I'll be able to use that to get you information when we're coming out with our trainings. And we're coming out with small pods where we're reviewing business financials together. We're doing all kinds of things. And you should know, we work in perfect concert with MAPS Real Estate Coaching. Our companies have never worked closer. We don't coach realtors, but we share our stuff readily. And so we'd love to be connected to the people that you do business with. We have a really cool program, a referral program for our Keller Williams family in doing that. But what an amazing place, isn't it, that we have all these resources. And so with that, thank you for letting me be a part of this, and I'll do whatever. I'm honored to be a part of this, and I'll do whatever I can to help you guys.
Well, we can certainly do our part too, and contribute and share the resources that you've been so kind to share with us. And let's just go help as many people as we can. 10 is the standard, right? 10's the minimum.
Yeah, 10.
10 a day.
10 was the number that came to my mind, but I think 10's a good number because it's not talk to 10 people. It's provide solutions for 10 people. Yeah. You're gonna have to talk to a lot more people to be able to provide those solutions.
All right, Chris, you and Abe, take us home, buddy.
Hey, just like I'm seeing in the chat box, thank you so much, Abe. You've been generous with your time, and we really appreciate you. Thank you.
Well, this is my honor, and I'm grateful. I'm grateful for you guys, and I'm not everyone's doing what you're doing. You should know that. You guys are plugged in, and even this call, Chris was so good because he gave me no rest, and I want to do it. He made it impossible to say, yes, I want to do that. And you're doing the right things. And I would say, keep plugged in, anything you can do to help your mind, support each other, mastermind with each other, do the things. Today, we share everything. That's our culture anyway. It's even more today.
Abe, if there was a mailing address, what would that mailing address be?
2641 Shamrock Drive, Lucky. 2461 Shamrock Drive, Ogden, Utah. 84403.
Appreciate you.
Thanks, everyone. Talk soon.
Thank you.
Okay.
Alrighty.
Bye-bye.